Alright, what's up guys? We're back here with another movie review, and today we're looking at 2019's Child's Play. Now, I went and saw this in the theater when this came out. Which was about a month ago. And, I just watched it about an hour ago again. I watched it a second time. Now, the reason I watched it twice, I usually watch a movie at least twice because, unless it's a movie like Breakdown Lane, sometimes I watch a movie twice. Because the second time is not going to be the same experience as the first time. The first time you're actually experiencing it, getting involved in the story. The second time around, that gives you time to know what's happening and review it. That's why I usually do that. This one, though, now for those of you that don't know, this is a remake of a movie from the 80s. I don't want to make myself look stupid, so I'm not going to guess which year. I've watched the first Child's Play 5 or 10 times. 5 to 10 times. I've seen all the Chucky movies, but I can't remember to God of me which ones came out which year. There was 3 Child's Play 1 through 3. There was Bride and Seed of Chucky, Cult and Curse of Chucky, which were both terrible. I don't know why people liked Cult of Chucky, and I'll do that eventually. The only thing that I liked about Bride of Chucky was that Judas Priest's Bloodstained was in it for like 2 seconds. That's literally like my favorite Judas Priest song. It's very underrated. That whole goddamn Jugulator album is very underrated. I mean, Jugulator is such a great album. Oh, what else? Before I start reviewing this, I usually go through the entire plot of the movie. Now, this movie is about 2 hours long, give or take. I can't remember exactly. I think it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Somewhere in between there. But, this is a remake of the original movie. In many ways, I think this definitely topped the original. The original is a good movie. I understand it's got a it's got a classic status. It's a classic horror movie. But this one's I enjoy this one a lot better than the original. I enjoyed it a lot better than any of the Chucky movies, actually. This was a good movie. I went into it expecting it to be terrible. But, you know what? There is a staple. You shouldn't mess with classics. But I think they did a good job. They shouldn't have messed with classics, but they did a good job here. So, don't do it that often, but it was alright. So, Child's Play 2019. Now, the reason I wasn't even going to go see this, because when I saw the trailer for this, which was about last year, a year before it came out, the only Chucky movies that I had seen was the first one. I had seen it like 5 or 10 times, of course, because that's just an essential movie need. And I had watched Curse of Chucky once, and I watched Cult of Chucky. And I heard they were coming out with another one, and Cult of Chucky was just so bad. I was like, I don't know. But then I heard Mark Hamill would be voicing Chucky. And my eyes lit up, because he plays one of the best Jokers ever. He has played several Jokers. And he played, we don't talk about Last Jedi, but we talk about Anakin Skywalker. I mean, goddamn. Mark Hamill, come come on, it's Mark Hamill. And I was so excited that he was going to play Chucky, because I'm like, out of all the people you could pick to play Chucky, you picked the fucking Joker. Awesome. I personally like that. Now, hold on a second. Cold as I'll get out. Ah, shit. Not to mention, this movie also contains that one minority character from Stranger Things. I think his name was Lucas or Lewis in Stranger Things. Lucas or Lewis, something with an L. I only watched the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things. Never got to the third one. But, yeah, before I start going through this movie, I definitely think this one surpassed the original. And I don't want you guys to get mad at the rating that I might give it, because it may get an A or an A+, because actually, I wouldn't even give the original an A. It may just get an A. This movie's good, but it's not good enough to be an A+. There's no way. It has some pretty graphic kills and inventive kills, but it's not A+ material. You have to be godly to be that. As much as I did laugh throughout this movie. Okay, so Child's Play 2019. Let's start off in the first scene. So the movie begins with this old guy or whatever, and he owns this company. It's called Zentech or something. Some fancy rich guy. Fuck or whatever. I don't even care. But he's this old dude, and he owns this company, and they got these new line of dolls coming out. They're Chucky dolls, and they call them Buddies with an I at the end of it. And apparently, these dolls, because this company also makes, it pretty much runs every household item in America. This company is like the household item of America, and everybody's got household items branded under this guy. And these Buddy dolls can control the branded items that he has, and that's what it's for. It can learn stuff. It can learn your daily routine. It's like it can order a car service for you. This doll is like an everything doll, and you connect to it with your phone. So the movie starts off, it's at the factory where these fucking things are made. And this Korean guy comes up yelling at this other guy. And this other guy is sitting at the table making one of these Buddy dolls. He's yelling at him and he tells him to get out. You're fired. So he decides to take all the restrictions off this doll. Violence inhibitors, language processors, protocols, just takes everything off. Safety protocols. And then he decides to pack it and ship it without this guy knowing, and then that guy jumps off the roof and commits suicide. Okay. That's the beginning of the movie. So we get one kill, like, literally 2 to 3 minutes into the movie. But, so then we meet, well, we don't meet Andy just yet. And I think the reason, we'll get to why they made Andy older in this movie. And I'll explain because some people may have not seen the original Child's Play. Although that is a very popular movie, I doubt there's very many of them, but there probably are people that haven't seen it, so I'll go into why it's weird that they made the kid older. So, the next scene is in this store, and this woman gets this fucking doll brought up to her. And it's kind of foreshadowing, since this is a movie review and there will be spoilers. I am going to go ahead and go into detail. Now, Before I continue, I know it's kind of weird that when I do usually when people do movie reviews, there's plenty of channels like I know a really big one that's got a couple million subscribers is Chris Stuckman, and just any channel. That's pretty much the only one I watch. I don't watch movie reviews that often, but if I need to go watch one, I definitely go watch his. The thing that got me into him, this is kind of going off topic, but he's one of my favorite YouTubers. And the thing that got me into him that just makes me laugh my ass off every time is his Hilariosity reviews. Now, I will watch some of his other movie reviews if I did watch his movie review for the Child's Play movie because I had just went and saw it and I wanted to see some other people's opinions on it. And he gave it a good rating. He gave it, I thought he was going to give it an F or something, but he gave it a halfway decent rating that I was expecting. So, but any channel that does movie reviews, they only do them for like 6 or 8 minutes and they go over the key points of the movie. See, that was the thing. That's the thing. I've noticed this about a lot of channels. Now, whenever, we're going back to Chris Stuckman again. He's a big YouTuber. Whenever he does movie reviews, they usually last from around 5 to 10 minutes long. And he goes over just the key points of the movie and what he thought about it. But when he does a Hilariosity review, as I said, which is a movie that's, I guess in his words, so bad it's good. But he takes his time, and those videos are usually half an hour. But see, the thing about me is, since my brain is all over the place, I just maybe this is just me, and I don't, maybe a lot of YouTubers see this as wasting a lot of time, but I like to go through every key point of the movie and make sure I look at it, unless it's a movie like Breakdown Lane, where I just can't fucking stand it. That's an exception. That is an exception. You don't understand how bad Breakdown Lane was. But I am probably, with every movie review I do, probably going to take my time, and they're going to be long. Now, the reason The Dark Crystal was only 17 minutes is because I didn't really have much to say about it, and the movie plot was fairly fast to get through. There wasn't a bunch of points that I had to run over, but it was still a fairly long review. I'm trying to think of other channels that do movie, because he's like literally the only one that now fun fact is, he was not the one that inspired me. Well, my channel was mainly let's start with this. My channel was mainly a gaming channel. And since I can't do games on my laptop right now, well, not for a while, but I'm going to be doing reviews for the time being, so at least I'm keeping my channel up. And I will put my time into them. But he wasn't actually the one that inspired me to start reviewing shit on my channel. It was actually one of my friends. I'm not going to mention the name, but he has a channel where he does movie reviews. Actually, he changed the name of it. I can't remember what it was, but he did movie reviews on it, and he told me that I should try it out. And I was kind of hesitant because my channel is a gaming channel, and I'm like, are you sure, dude? And then he's like, yeah, it's actually really fun once you get into it. So yeah, I legitimately enjoy reviewing shit now. It's a good thing to pass the time until I can post gaming videos again. I will tell you one game that I have right now that I've been dying to play, but I'm going to wait until I can do my gaming videos again. Evil Within. I actually just downloaded that. Now, funny thing is, damn it, I'm like going way off track. Okay, I need to get back on the movie. Okay, so now we're at the store scene, and we meet Andy's mother. So Andy is the main character, or the main character of Child's Play 1 and most of the Child's Play movies. Andy used to be... Okay, let's just talk about Andy's mom. So she gets this doll and its eyes are red. This is the doll that got the protocols taken off of it. So she decides to take it and go to her manager and coax him into letting her have it. She gets it, brings it home. So then we meet Andy. Andy is around 12 or 13 in this movie, I think. Maybe older. I can't fucking tell. I just watched this, but I still can't tell. And in the original one, he had to have been like 5 or 6. Had to have been like 5 or 6. Cute little kid. And the reason that's weird is because in the original one, he was this little kid, and he couldn't really do anything for himself. But in the climax of this movie, he gets this fucking chainsaw and he just goes fucking Rambo looking for this goddamn doll. I mean, he's an older kid now in this movie, so he can defend himself. And I really think that helps this movie. That literally was a good... I think that was a good choice on their part, so... So, yeah. Andy's an older kid now, and then we get introduced to the boyfriend character of his mom. And this dude is a drunk asshole, of course, and he hates this guy. And he gets this buddy doll, and it's malfunctioning. She thinks it's broken, but he decides to keep it. He thinks it's broken, but he decides to keep it. Takes it into his room. And it starts getting really fucking creepy. And then... it starts learning things. He stabs this knife down on the table after he makes a sandwich, and the doll starts making a stabbing motion. The doll gets really fucking creepy. The doll learns, Andy starts cussing, and the doll learns language. Then after that, I forgot about this, we get introduced to the asshole boyfriend character, the drunk. And this guy is a nothing face with he's a nothing drunk asshole. That's pretty much all he's there for. I mean, the dude pretty much is the only reason for him to be in this movie is just to be a problem for Andy. And I think they fit that in well. Some people, because I went to see this with a couple of my friends, maybe about 2 of them to be exact, but I thought it helped this movie. Now, one of my friends disagreed with me. They said that kind of dragged the movie down. I personally think it helped it. That's just my opinion. I think this movie was correctly placed. Now, everybody's got different opinions on this. I know some people that hated this and love the original. Personally, I think this was 10 times better than the original. Not that I'm beating on the original. The original is a good-ass movie. I mean, goddamn. The original was actually the only good one of the series, other than this one. This one's starting a new series, and it set it up for a sequel at the end of this. But this asshole boyfriend character is a problem for Andy, and the doll soon finds this out. And since it's got the protocols off, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this doll can think for itself. It can kill people. It can do whatever. But then we get why do I keep saying get met? It's late. Sorry. Anyway, we get introduced to Andy's cat. Forget what he's called. He's a cat, though. And Andy calls him a total dick in front of Chucky. And then Chucky repeats that, total dick. And then they're playing this game of, like, fucking Strategio or something. And they drop one of the pieces next to the cat. and the cat scratches him. And Andy leaves to go get a Band-Aid, and the doll gets mad and tries to choke out the cat. And Andy comes back and saves the cat. He goes to school or some shit the next day, and he comes back, and the cat is dead on the kitchen floor, and they gotta get rid of it. And Andy gets mad at this doll for killing him. So then that night, Andy goes... Well, I want to go back to Andy's friends. So then he starts hanging out with these friends. There's the black kid from Stranger Things. I think he's from Stranger Things. I can't tell. I think he's from Stranger Things. He looked like that kid from Stranger Things. That's what I'm thinking about. I just can't remember the kid's name. He definitely looked like the kid from Stranger Things. Maybe that's just me being crazy, but he looked like the kid from Stranger Things. But, so he starts hanging out with this fat kid, this 14-year-old girl or something, and then the kid from Stranger Things. That's just what I'm going to call him, the kid from Stranger Things. So, he starts hanging out with them, and they find out that his doll's all fucking crazy, and that he can cuss, he can do all this crazy shit. But then, that night, the boyfriend character comes over and decides to just scare the shit out of Andy, because he's an asshole. And he leaves to go to his house, and we find out that he has another wife. Now, he was just dating Andy's mom, but he already has a wife and 2 daughters. So that night, he's asleep at his house with his actual family. And before he left the apartment where Andy's at, he heard something fall in the back of his truck. Chucky followed him, and he is actually our next victim of the movie, because Chucky was going to kill him for Andy because Andy does not like him. So he follows him, and he decides to go and take the Christmas lights off the house. He gets up there with a ladder, and there's scenes where he hears footsteps under him, and then eventually the ladder gives out, and he falls on his legs, and actually a part that I cringed on. He falls down, and both of his shin bones split out the side of his ankles. And he falls to the ground. So think of like your shin bone in your ankle, and it like splits out the side through the skin and through your clothes. And then it just like that. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm sure most of you are throwing up now. But that's not the worst thing that happens. So he gets these Christmas lights wrapped around him, and Chucky turns on this lawnmower, and the lawnmower sucks up the Christmas lights. He tries to stop it, but then Chucky almost stabs him, but his hands give way, and the lawnmower scalps him and cuts his face to pieces, and the scalp falls on top of a garden gnome, which was great. The scalp just like plops on top of the garden gnome. I was laughing my ass off. But that's not the worst death in this movie. Not by far. There's one that I'm thinking about that So there's this character in this movie, and I swear to God, he's not Jack Black. But I was telling everybody, that fucker looks like Jack Black. There is a guy in this that looks like Jack Black. He looks like Jack Black. There are scenes. He may not look like Jack Black in every shot, but this fucker looks like Jack Black. I swear to God. Those of you who have seen this movie know who I'm talking about. The fucker looks like Jack Black. I'm telling you. My God. I don't even know. This dude looks like Jack Black, and everybody's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? No, it doesn't. I'm like, that dude looks like Jack Black. What the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, no, he doesn't. I'm just like, yeah, he does. So, when Andy wakes up the next morning, he finds his dead mom's boyfriend's face skin on a watermelon mounted on top of his dresser. So he calls the fat kid and the 14-year-old girl. over to his place, and he decides to lock Chucky in the closet and find out what the fuck to do with his head. He wraps it up with wrapping paper, and then he gets stopped by his mom, and he makes an excuse that it's for the lady next door. And the person next door, I need to say this. So he moved in next door. So this movie starts off because Andy and his mom just moved into this apartment complex. And they live next door to a detective and his elderly mother. A black detective, and he is black, and his elderly mother. So Andy makes this excuse that the present is for, and the head is in this wrapping paper. And Andy makes this excuse that the present is for the elderly woman next door. So he takes it over there. And that's that. She understands that it's not something he's supposed to have or something. She doesn't know that it's a severed human head, but the old woman understands, and she puts it on her dresser or whatever. I don't know. She puts it on some counter. So Andy goes and decides what to do with the doll, and the doll, they decide, him and the other two kids decide to kill it. So they get it on the ground and they stab it and fucking rip its circuits out or whatever, and they throw it down the trash chute. But the creepy guy that looks like Jack Black is actually the building maintenance guy for this apartment complex. And he finds this doll in the dumpster, and he takes it down to his little man cave under the apartment complex, and he's got all these fucking goddamn things everywhere, like, that are Kazlan. Kazlan is the company. These Kazlan products. So these Kazlan products are all over the place, and he fixes Chucky, and then Chucky disappears. Okay, so he fixes up Chucky, puts him back together, and right before he's about to box him up and ship him off to eBay, because that's what he does, he decides to, for whatever reason, he sees, because he's got security cameras all hidden all over the place, and he likes to peep on the women in the apartment complex. Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo. And he's got like this white tank top on, and he's in his underwear. And Andy's mom is ready to take her clothes off and get in the shower. And he's about to fucking watch this. I think he's a nice guy. We should have him over for dinner. He sounds like a real nice guy. No, he's not pervy at all. Okay. Yeah, that guy. So Chucky then disappears, and he's confused by this. So Chucky slashes him a little bit. He falls to the ground, slashes him in the chest. He gets on top of this cutting table with a saw blade on it. And the thing, Chucky unscrews the bolt on it, and it falls to the ground. Now it's directly underneath him sideways. So he holds on to this pipe on the ceiling. And Chucky turns on the saw table, and it starts going, and it's underneath him. And Chucky then turns on the thermostat, which makes the pipe hotter, and eventually he just falls. Eventually he falls a little bit, and he shreds up his toe on the saw table, and then he falls down. And this fucking saw table, I shit you not, it showed this. It cuts through his ball sack, up through, and then back. So imagine like the saw table cutting, like slicing through your ball sack upwards, going through the crack, and then slightly going up your back a little bit, and eventually you fall down and it chops your leg off. So it slides down, and the fucking thing cuts the side all the way up to your thigh, your leg off. And then that falls to the ground. I shit you not, that was some brutal shit. I was very satisfied. Okay, now that we're done with that death scene. So then Buddy starts getting pissed off, and all of a sudden, the black kid gets a Buddy doll, and he calls it Chode. Yes, he actually calls it Chode, and it's actually Andy's old doll, but he doesn't know that. So he gets this doll, and everybody doesn't believe him. At the end of the movie, they eventually do fall for him, so I don't have to get into that. They believe Andy again. So he decides to, Andy gets in a fight with this black kid, and all the kids hate him now, because they think he's crazy. And they think he's batshit crazy or something. And that's a literal line from the movie. So then we get the next scene where when he had this fight with this Stranger Things kid, he stole his phone. And he stole it. So this phone connects to the Buddy doll. And he finds out that earlier in the movie, he told the elderly woman next door, the detective's mom, how to use Kazlan Car, which is basically like an AI-controlled Uber. Yeah, that's an actual thing in this movie. So he finds out that Buddy is controlling this Kazlan Car, and the elderly woman is about to get in to go to bingo. It takes her to her destination, but then all of a sudden the car stops and backs up. There's this big parking lot intense scene with a jump scare. The old woman finds out that it's the doll doing it, but unfortunately he crashes the car into another vehicle, and then she looks next to her, and this fucking thing stabs her. I think it said 13 times. And she is murdered. So then the detective thinks that, oh shit, Andy's doing this. So then we get to the climax of the movie at Kenmart, or whatever it's called. And at Kenmart, this big event's going on for the Buddy 2 release, which is a second edition doll, the Buddy 2, and there's a bunch of people there waiting for it. So Andy's mom is all angry at Andy for doing all this weird shit. So she works at this place, so she's taking Andy to work. And the detective decides to go to Andy's mom's work, Kenmart. And, yeah. Takes the detective. No, now the detective gets there, and the kids arrive there too, because they managed to get Stranger Things kids' phone back, and everybody found out that the doll had been recording it the whole time on accident or whatever. So they decide to go save Andy and believe him now. So they're friends again. Yay. So they go to save Andy, and they find him. So does the detective, and the detective tackles him and handcuffs him to this fucking cart of balls. It's got like bouncy balls in it. Then the store manager that Andy's mom was talking to in the beginning of the movie is dressing up as a Buddy mascot for the event. And while he's back there, he puts on the head, and Buddy and Chucky comes out of nowhere and stabs him in the neck. He comes out bleeding. He takes his mask off and bleeds on this little... So this is another... I don't know how to understand this scene. So he takes this mask off. He comes out there wobbling, takes this mask off, and there's this little 4-year-old girl in the front. Takes it off, and once he takes it off, there's like blood gushing everywhere, and he gushes this like fountain of blood in this 4-year-old girl's face. And I'm just like, dude, if that were me when I was 4, I would never be able to sleep again, getting like a fountain of blood splashed in my face. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Oh, shit. Okay. So, continuing. So this happens, that guy doesn't die yet, But then Buddy takes over the store's control system, and there's a bunch of Kazlan products, Kazlan drones, and shit ton of Buddy dolls. Chucky decides to snap his finger like the magical fairy he is and turn all these things evil. And then the detective soon finds out that Chucky is a really fucking evil doll. And that was the thing why I like this movie so much. The original movie with the whole voodoo storyline was very unbelievable. And I think that I understand it's got a classic status, but it really isn't a top dollar movie like everybody says it is. It's just okay. It's an alright movie. I mean, it's got some good performances in it, but it isn't like Stanley Kubrick's The Shining level. It's not fucking The Abyss. It's not it's not Hostel. It's not Saw. It's not Seven. I mean, goddamn. It's just not that. It really isn't. This one, though, definitely topped the original. And I think they made a better direction on how they will tackle Chucky becoming Chucky. So he takes over all these electronics and kills a bunch of people in the store. People started escaping out the doors, but he starts putting the shutters on the windows and stuff. The fat kid's about to get sliced up by one of these drones, but the cop saves him and it chops him up. He has a fake out death. And then another drone flies into the mascot's neck again, and then he officially dies. And Andy's friends come save him. They get out, but Andy decides to stay back because Chucky's got his mom. And then we get this giant chase scene. Andy gets knocked out. And he has this big old fight with Chucky. Then Chucky's about to hang his mom, but he tries to get up there with this fucking chainsaw, and he's got like this knife or whatever, and he tries to wrestle her down. And Chucky tries to stop him. He pushes him to the ground, and then he takes Chucky's knife and fucking cuts this rope, gets his mom down. And then he stabs Chucky in the chest, and we think he's dead, but he has a fake out death. And then, Andy gets back up to look at his mom, and Chucky lunges at him again. And the detective comes back and shoots Chucky in the side. Chucky doesn't look dead yet, though, so Andy's mom gets over and rips the fucking thing's head off. And the movie ends with a possible love relationship between the detective and Andy's mom. Doubtful, but one of my theories is, this is not an important theory, but that Andy will eventually have a love interest towards the girl character that was one of his friends. I forget her name, but maybe there's a love interest there too. There definitely was a hint towards a love interest towards the detective and Andy's mom. And the fact that Andy actually liked this guy. So, possibilities. And the fact that they set it up for another sequel. So, yeah. The movie ends with a truck being loaded with more Buddy dolls, and one of the dolls' eyes start glowing. Movie ends. So, what would I rate Child's Play 2019? This is the big question. I've been sitting here thinking about it. I'm going to give it an A. I really enjoyed this movie. It's not going to get an A+. You have to be really good to get A+. There hasn't been any movies that I've reviewed so far that have gotten an A+. Yeah, I'm giving it an A+. So remember to leave a comment, like, and subscribe.